Alright, y'all. I'm gonna teach you how to put this here paint coat. Even you can see the green poking through on the laser, but anyway, we're gonna be blending this to that camo there. Unpainted lower to my painted upper. And it looks like I'm gonna do a little bit of touch up too. Cause yeah, I see that green pretty apparent. But first things first, make sure you got a safe rifle, pistol, whatever. Drop bolt. Pull the trigger just because of my habit. Close your dust cover. And you don't want anything in your mag well. So this is what we got. Now you can see the oil on here. I did just oil this thing fairly recently, and sorry about the pauses. I'm holding my flashlight in my mouth. But yeah, optics, if I was doing a full paint, you know, I might just do a little bit of touching up, cover up that green. But as this is not a base rifle and I'm blending, I'm gonna need some sort of cover for the overspray. Sorry, I'm not the best at multitasking, filming and doing some paint. And if you get a little bit of overspray, no big deal going over it again. But alright. Now time to get to business. Before you do your initial spray, kind of like blow out whatever's in your spray can. See, I had like a cloggage there, and it's kind of thick. There we go. Yeah, so you just want to start off with a nice base coat and try to get everywhere you can without flipping your setup over and over and over, you know what I'm saying? And that is a base coat. All right, continuing on. You gotta give that paint plenty of time to dry. So now, same thing but inverse. Again, there was some oil seeping out of here. Give that a little wipe down. And I've had some people I've seen tape up their triggers. Yeah, maybe if you have more of a high, fancier trigger. This one's just mil spec, So I don't bother. See, now when you're matching unpainted to a painted, you're gonna have to do minor overspray. For example, that's nothing to touch up though. See, I could tape off my optics. I'm not entirely worried. I got a little bit of spray on there, but that will come off with a wipe. But right here, I don't want to risk getting like a major overspray. So laziness at its max right there, boys. That is what I was trying to avoid. perfect. Yeah, when you go from one color to another, it's very hard to get rid of all the old greens, like that knob even. Get the green off the hex cap. Minor amounts of green there. Now we're looking a whole lot better, boys. This pad. I'm actually just going to remove that pad once this paint dries here. Alright. Call that for now. Alright, so I did flip over the pistol here, just checking it out. And we're ready to go with the paint on this side. So now we're going to move on to brown, and we're going to throw tiger stripes up onto the tan. So I flipped over the pistol and had to do some surgery, man. Thank God I have a Leatherman, because that fucking can was caged, man. Old can, a lot of paint leakage, but got her firing. So now we're gonna take that brown that she's working in. Let me get my good light going here. Got 2 string lights. Going for the rechargeable one. This one is 500 lumens. And it's kind of hard to tell which one's which off rip. But yeah, we got a nice dry coat of paint. So now we're just gonna go tiger striping. Yeah, definitely gonna need a new can of paint to do this nice, but we'll make it work. And there we go with some tiger stripe. Probably gonna get a new can of paint before I continue on, but maybe I'll do the other side. That can is done. Come on, we got a new can. All right, back in business here. All right, so like you're gonna want to hit this will work out okay. The spatter, it'll blend in well enough with the burlap once we hit it with that. But this magnifier is super green. I think I may pop that one off and tape it up, because a magnifier, you don't have to have near the precision, you know, so you can slap that on right behind a red dot and you're fine. But right here, there we go. A little too much, it kind of leaked way up on there. Watery paint. And I might be decent at making a camo paint job, but I don't know that much about paint, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Just doing some green deleting. And I think I like that for that side there. Hell yeah. Make sure I didn't get it on the optic. I don't know why this paint is so watery, but I think it's gonna be fine. But I do think I can just run up there and be fine. Beauty. Fuck yeah. Didn't get on the red dot either. Yeah, I think we'll let that sit. Pretty happy with that right now. Maybe there's some brown up in the trigger guard. Fucking right. Alright, we'll let that sit. Alright, so flashlight died on me now. But we're just gonna use the phone light, give this side some tiger striping, cover up that blotch up there a little bit. And then we'll be getting on to running the burlap for the snakeskin. So we'll just go like that, like this, get that down there, that there. Okay, now I got an angled spray on this, so I'm gonna go like that. It'll be like, there we go. And the thing is, you don't want to do like a straight up and down line. You want to do some horizontals, because the human eye picks up on verticality, straight lines, shit like that. So up in here, I see a little paint spot missing. I'm gonna hit that with the, this is kind of, perfect. Just in case we got a little bit up on there, like that. And we'll give it some of this here. That. Here we go. Like that too. All right. And we'll let that dry. And we can start snakeskinning. Alright, we got some dry paint. Definitely is a little watery, but that's okay. So, we'll move on to snakeskin. So, what we're doing is we're using these little holes to add like a micro texture. So we're just gonna see how it works. You might have to find a different piece. If they get too used to, actually here's a good one there. And we'll just start throwing some brown over the tan.
And that'll do it for now, I think. Actually, see that white line there? Yeah, we'll let that dry. Take a little bit up in there. Hell yeah. Up here on this magnifier too. Yeah, that should do it for this side here.
Okay, so I flipped her over. The other side still got some pretty good wet spots in them.
So we'll just throw some snakeskin on here while we're waiting.
Cut me a new piece.
And we can paint up the anti-reflection device.
Just cutting a new piece of the fabric.
But you'll see we got like some streaking. No big deal, a little bit of tape right there from a past paint. Yeah, we'll just go over this with brown. And then we'll start adding in the tan after that's dry. A little bit heavy and a weird line got in there. So, what we'll do, napkin on standby. No big deal. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Minor little mess up there, but an extra coat of paint, no big deal. That's the thing, you just gotta keep chill about the situation and it'll end up looking alright. So sometimes you're gonna have to hold down. I can make that work. Try to get a little bit more. We got some minor overspray. Wipe that right on off. This lens. Honestly, it's not. Oh, that's older stuff too. It's not that hard to get paint off. So, I think for now, take this pad off and paint this pad actually. God, let me do it with. There we go. But then because it is a wire, I'm gonna take it inside to let it kind of warm up. Yeah, I'm not gonna risk flexing them wires too much in the cold here. This will be easier to do up than the rest of everything else just because it's so small. Alright, well, that one's probably gonna be good for now. Get a little bit more dark on that. Pretty happy with that. Then maybe we do have dry enough up in here. So in areas,
Could have done a little bit less on the grip there, but we'll blend that in with more brown.
So you don't want to, kind of stuffed it, that's all right though. You don't want to mix wet paints. That's when you start getting shit to fuck up, but. And for whatever reason, that brown is so much more wet than the tan.
Alright, we're gonna let that dry. Alright, we got a little bit of touching up here to do.
Not bad. Go for a. Oh, well, we still gotta do a backdoor thumb pad. Running out of tan there. I'll throw some brown up in there now. Smudged it up a little bit, but we can touch that up, no big deal. Oh. Well, that happens sometimes. Had the sprayer by the wrong part of it there. Alright, we'll let that dry there. Alright, we're still soaking wet on that overspray. We got some wetness up in here, but I'm gonna flip her over. And I'm looking good to get to spraying back up here. Okay, we are doing pretty good, I'd say. Anti-reflection device is still pretty wet.
Yeah, honestly, we're getting to the point where like that's got to get cleaned up, that streak. But
Shockingly, it's more paint that has to dry. Might be able to get this thumb pad though.
all right, I think that's good for now.